Hey guys, DM here. You joined me on a gorgeous Sunday afternoon. I'm sitting on the back porch watching the dogwood fluff fly around and just enjoying a break from the rain, really. We've had so much damn rain in the last couple weeks. It's good to see the sun out. So, I just got back from Jabber, and it was a great trip, awesome time. Um, some really good folks over there, and some folks that I think are really wanting to move up in strategy and planning for the war, which is very encouraging. So I thought I'd put this out. I got a couple DMs asking about war setup and war team setup and kind of general, how do you go about it type thing. Um, so, in partial response to that, I figured I'd just put out this kind of general video, and then hopefully you guys can take a few minutes and check it out and kind of see where I'm coming from. I apologize that at the start it's going to be a lot of word salad and, um, you know, quite a bit of detail, but I think it's worth going over. And number one, it's a game, and I realize that not everybody is going to sit down and draw out a spreadsheet of 30 heroes and sit and talk through it. And it's, I just want to get on and I want to be effective, but it's a game and I want to have a good time. So, and that's cool. But, hopefully me sitting down doing this will help a few people that, want some tips and maybe show you how to think about it when you're putting your teams together. This is just a very basic uh, kind of starting point for you guys. So what I have here on the screen is my top 30 heroes. Now, my top 30 heroes and yours and the next person's and the next person's are going to look completely different. We're going to have folks out there who struggle to put 30 heroes together for war. Um, maybe their bottom 10 heroes are barely leveled. They might be good heroes, but they're just not leveled because they're relatively new to the game in general. I mean, it takes a long time. I mean, a long time. I've been playing 18 months, something like that. Maybe a little bit more than that. Um, and it's taken me that long to put together a team like this. So it's not so much who the heroes are that I've got on the screen as it is, working with what you have. So in this scenario, I'm going to pretend that I have 30 heroes, period, for war, and that's what I have to work with. Um, in reality, I have, other heroes that I could bring into this list and swap out and kind of make some sacrifices and some changes. And we'll probably get into that a little bit later. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to say that Danger Mouse has these 30 heroes to work with. This is his war team. So what I've done is obviously I've listed their names out, their rank. So 5-star, 4-star. Hero power ascending, so Mitsuko's my strongest hero that I have, period, according to the hero power. Um, and then Domita, who's sitting at 370, is my 30th hero. She's my 30th strongest hero at 656. So the spread of power is 785 to 656. So what I've done all the way over here on the right, underneath the count of elemental types, I have a median hero power. So what all that is an average of all of those numbers. So my average hero power for my top 30 is 735. Now, all I did was take that number and multiply it by 5 to give me my target war team power, which is 3679. So as a starting point, given the 30 heroes that I have here, I should be able to cobble together 6 teams that have roughly 3,679 team power each. Now, that's not going to be specific, obviously, but it gives you kind of an idea and a target when you're first starting out, and you have I've got my 30 heroes, and they are who they are, and they are as strong as they are. You know, it's probably a good idea to keep your teams relatively even with regard to team power, and some deviations in there are probably going to happen, but it's all situational, and again, we'll kind of get into it a little bit later. So yeah, 3,679 team power on average is what I'm going to be fielding across all 6 flags. Hero element is self-explanatory. Hero type. Now, this column is not to say that Mitsuko is a tank and only a tank, or Kiona is a flank and only a flank. Kiona could be ran as a tank. Mitsuko could be a flank. She could be ran at the wing. All this is I took my 30 heroes kind of ahead of time before I started the video, and I sat down and I said, okay, for my 6 war teams that I'm going to build, I'm going to categorize them. So the first thing I did was take 6 heroes and designated them as my tanks. So I've got 6 tanks on the sheet. Those are going to be the tanks for my teams. From there, looking at a combination of mana, speed, shield, special skill, all of those things, I went through and determined, okay, what are my 12 flanks going to be? Because, 6 war teams, you've got 2 flanks on each team, that's 12 flanks. And the same thing with the wings. So I sort of started with my tank, and I built my team outwards from there. I haven't said, okay, for my Mitsuko tank, I'm going to have Kiona and Evelyn as flanks. I haven't gotten that far yet, and we're going to kind of do that together. But I have a general idea of what role each of my 30 heroes is gonna fit into. Generally speaking, your tanks are going to be your tankiest heroes. Quite honestly, your high shield heroes. It's not so much about mana speed as it is survivability and what type of skill they have. So a good tank to me, ideally is going to stick around long enough to pop their skill, because that's kind of the point. But the tank is going to incur the most damage on average. So somebody that has a high shield. Mitsuko has a decent shield on her. Anatel has a really good shield. Who else do I have? Elkanan, surprisingly tanky. Perseus, good tank. And Kunshin as well. Now my Kunshin is at 370. So he's not going to be an outstanding tank relative to some of these others. And maybe there's some other options. But, you look at color, you look at skill. Kunshin has a great skill for a tank. I mean, he heals everybody, and he defense debuffs the entire team, even though he's slow mana. But the thing about him is, when you get him done, his shield is good. So, generally speaking, he's going to pop for you at least once, and that's a big heal. For flanks I think are kind of the bread and butter of a war team, of any team really. They take a moderate amount of damage. To me, I think you want your flanks to be support heroes that are, they're going to give your team good buffs, debuff the enemy, maybe give you minions, help the survivability of your team. And then for the wings, generally, you're going to put your fast sniper type heroes out there. Their chances are they're going to get their skills regardless at least once. And they're going to take the least amount of damage while they're doing it, because a lot of the snipers in the game that have very high attack stats and hit one target really hard are squishy. There's kind of a trade-off to that. So, some of the snipers are more balanced. I think, Alice, she's a pretty balanced sniper. But especially a lot of the first gen, like Liana, she's not a feather. You're not just going to push her over, but relative to her attack stat, she's not nearly as defensive. So, fast mana heroes on the outside, generally snipers. Your functional kind of bread and butter heroes on flank, and your tanky guys in tank. That's kind of what it is, right? So Like I said, I went through ahead of time, kind of assigned a general role for everybody, and there we go. Primary skill, again, pretty self-explanatory. Either they hit 3 heroes, they hit 1. A couple of them, like Rumple, is random. He could have one of 3 things happen. They hit all heroes, or they heal or buff somehow. And secondary skill, again, pretty self-explanatory. So that's the general idea. And I think it's important to list in the top right there the number of each elemental hero that I have, because chances are for all of us, unless you've just been playing so long that you've got 200 heroes maxed and you can literally curate and cultivate 6 amazing war teams, chances are it's not going to be even, right? So you got 30 heroes to deal with. You're not necessarily going to have 6 of each color. Like in my case, I could create 6 of each color, but for the purposes of what we're trying to do here, I have 7 fire heroes. I only have 4 holy heroes, 5 ice, 6 nature, and 8 dark. So out of all of the heroes that I have, nature is the only one that I'm balanced on, as far as being able to put 1 nature hero on each team. There's advanced strategy when you start talking color stack and all that, which we'll touch on. But I think it's important to start with, when you're still growing your teams, to not necessarily worry about that so much, and just make sure that your teams are evenly created, to give yourself the most consistent opportunity to score points. And it helps the war generals understand where you're at, as far as your team power goes. So when we're going through and assigning targets or trying to help folks decide who to hit next, I'll go in and say, hey, I've got a 3,600 team. That's generally the range that I'm going to be bringing to the table. So, that's kind of what I think about it. So that's what this sheet is. It's just an overview of kind of what I've got going on, and I've already got my game open, although it's probably going to be disconnected for inactivity. But I've got all my teams. I'm probably getting pounded in raids right now because I've got Mitsuko as my raid defense team by herself, for the sake of having my sort look correctly on the heroes tab. But we're going to go in there. We're going to actually build teams based off this sheet. And we're going to kind of talk through it. And at the end of the thing, we're going to have 6 teams put together that will be battle ready. And we'll go in. So the thing about it, when you put these teams together, it's, like I said, it's a framework. You might, depending on who you're facing and who your actual war opponent is, like the team that you're attacking, you might switch these teams up a little bit. But you have to think about it like this, right? So I've got 6 teams. So let's say I have 30 apples on a platter, and each apple represents 735 team power, 735 hero power, because that's the average power of my team, of my 30 team. And let's say I get 6 plates out, and I put 5 apples on each plate. Well, I'm going to have equal number of apples across the board. Well, if I decide that I want to make team 1 and team 2 a little stronger, that power has to come from somewhere. So you might do that situationally. In fact, it happens. I'll tell you, it happens quite often. But you just have to realize that when you're only working with 30 heroes, or you've got 30 good, candidates for making teams, there's a trade-off. So if you're team 1 and team 2, if you want them to be a little bit stronger, well, two of your other teams are going to suffer a little bit. So that's kind of why I'm going at this kind of in an equal, spread out sort of fashion as a starting point. And then as war progresses and as you guys get more familiar with the strategy and you get to know each other's rosters better, and this is what I can do and that sort of thing, then there's going to be some change. But generally speaking, this is it's a starting point. So, all right, let's get into the game, and we'll build some heroes or some war teams here. So, I'm going to go in here to my heroes. And, of course, there's 5 in a row. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. There's Demita. She's my 30th hero. That's what I'm working with. So I'm going to build 6 teams with these 30 heroes based off that sheet. And we'll kind of talk through what we're trying to accomplish here. So, Mitsuko I have flagged as a tank to begin with, so we're going to leave her as is in my raid defense team. Team 2, my next tank is Anatel. Team 3, who's my next tank? Gravemaker. Team 4, Elkanan. Like I said, some of these heroes, like for example, Queen of Hearts, she's an excellent tank. The reason that I don't have her as a tank is because I already have 2 heroes that are red that are tanks. So I'm trying to kind of spread things out a little bit. That's all that is. Really necessarily no right or wrong answer. You build teams and see if they work out. If they don't, you tweak it and keep going. Perseus is next. And then was my last one, Kunshin. So there's Kunshin. Okay. I'm going to apply that so that that sticks. So, flag 1, Mitsuko. Flag 2, Anatel. Gravemaker's 3. Elkanan's 4. Perseus is 5. Kunshin is 6. And then my last team is empty. So, I've got my tanks set. And I'm going to go through while we're doing this and off screen here kind of flag that I've used these heroes here. So my tanks are all set. And I'm going to put a quick filter on my sheet, and then I'm going to sort by flanks. And we're going to start building some flanks. I've got 12 to choose from. So let's go back over here to Mitsuko. Mitsuko is fire. She reflects ice, special skills, and she hits 3 enemies and reduces all 3 of the enemies' mana by 20%. Basically, a kind of a mini Gwen. She's actually a really good tank. 745 shield is great. 1450 health is great. And she's no slouch on attack either. I mean, she's a good hero. Bottom line. I don't quite have enough. I need 4 more tokens, and I'm going to give her another emblem rank. Anyway, so I'm going to look for, out of my list of flanks, flanks that will help or complement the team. I have Kiona, Evelyn, the Queen of Hearts, Rumpel, Magni, Quintus, Aslar, Viv, Elena, Zim, Richard, and Demita. Now, I'm going to assign all these flanks. Once I get to the wings, I might switch it up a little bit. So, it's a process to kind of spread all this power out. So, I'm going to say, let's put Kiona as a flank. And so, they're going to be throwing ice at her. So ideally, I would like to have a green flank. I want to go with. The thing is, with the team that I have to work with, the only green flank that I have is Evelyn. I'm looking through the list here. Everybody else is a different color. Now I have to keep in mind when I'm building these teams that if you stack all your best heroes on a couple teams, like I said, that's going to leave my other teams weak. So I've got 2 really strong heroes in here. I'm going to go down the list, and I'm going to pick up Richard. And I'm not going to get the benefit of reduce damage against ice tiles like I would with Evelyn, but I'm working with who I have to work with. So Richard's in. Okay, we're going to move on to Anatel. She's yellow. Obviously a dark flank would be nice to have next to her. So we're going to put Demita in. And we might just put Quintus in next to her. Kind of try to capitalize on that reduced damage. Okay. Move on. Gravemaker, another red again. I might go ahead and put Evelyn next to him since I don't have another red tank. And I should be flagging these as I go here, shouldn't I? So we got Kiona in. Evelyn's now in. Quintus is in. Richard and Demita are in. So I've got, who do I have? Queen of Hearts, Rumpel, Magni, Aslar, Viv, Elena, Zim, Kitty. I'm going to try to get to, not the bottom, but kind of toward the bottom. I'm going to go with Viv, because two of my other options are red, and I do not want a red tank and a red flank next to each other. That's probably a bad idea. So Viv is in. That's that team. Elkanan is my tank. I flag Viv, I did. So they're going to be throwing red at him. Ideally blue is what I want to see. So I could, and this may change, but for now I'm going to put, well, I don't know if I'm going to put Rumpel and Magni, probably not. Power-wise, that's probably not a good play. We'll go with Elena. I want Elena, not only because she's slow mana, I definitely don't want her on the wing, but her counterattack buff applies to herself and neighbors, so if she's on the wing, you're missing out on that buff. So that's Elkanan. And let me flag Elena as being used. So Perseus, they're going to be throwing green at him. So ideally a couple reds, which I happen to have. So Aslar and Zim Kitty. Aslar and Zim Kitty. Now, I want some, when it comes around to it, I will want some fairly buff wings on this team because I have 3 heroes, kind of middle of the road, sort of middle to lower team power on here. So if I don't put some pretty buff wings on there, that team's going to be off and not hitting the target of 3,600 team power that I'm shooting for. So that's Zim, Kitty, and Aslar. Did use Rumpel, right? Yeah, I did. That's where it is. So that leaves me the Queen of Hearts and Magni. Now I understand Magni's fast and a sniper, and we just kind of talked about how snipers generally go on the wings, but Magni's buff, his huge defense buff, hits himself and his neighbors. So again, kind of like Elena, if you're not using him as a flank, you're missing out on the buff for one of your heroes. So Kunshin, Queen of Hearts and Magni, that's who we got left, so that's who we're going to put up. Queen of Hearts and Magni. Apply. Now I have my tank and my flanks set. It's time to start adding wings. So I'm going to sort by wing on my sheet. And again, nobody's expected to put a flipping sheet together and do this. This is just for the sake of kind of explaining and keeping my thoughts all together. So wings are pulled up. Let's see. This is where it gets tricky because, like I said, in a perfect world, if you would have 6 of each color and you'd have 1 of each color on each team as a starting point, that's not going to be the case for me. Okay. So 2 pretty strong heroes. One kind of toward the bottom of the power. So I'm probably going to go maybe 2 middle of the road wings. I do have Albie designated as a wing, and I might wind up changing that before I'm over with. Reason being is he's not all that. I mean, he's getting there, but he's 700 shield is not bad, but he's a target at flank for sure. I want to try to keep that guy alive. So let's go Albie. That's Albie. Who else do we want to use? How about what does June do? Oh, wrong button. I'm gonna leave that be for now. I understand what the team power is. Now the thing about it is team power is with troops, so it's kind of misleading. I don't know that there's a way to, unless we just add it up, right? So I suppose we can do that quick, just see where we're at. 716, wait, equals 716 plus 658 plus 785 plus 783 plus 730 equals 3672. So honestly, that's pretty dead nuts of where I want to be. So we'll leave that be for now. So that's June. June used, and that is, who else did we use? Albie. Okay. Wings. Don't really want to double up with the tank if I can avoid it. Let's take Liana 1. Excuse me. Let's put Alice in for now. That's 3952, 3960. So we know 3952 is about the right team power because these troops are going to be generally around the same strength. We'll go back and do some math later. So that's Liana 1 in. Who else was that? That was Alice in. So we have Cage. He's up there. I feel like if I put Cage in, then I'm gonna have to go down and put like Regard. Yeah. So let's just do that for the sake of doing it. So Cage and Regard. And Regard is in. Cage is in. So who we have left? We have Musashi, Obakan, Liana 2, Wilbur, Proteus, and Buddy. Probably going to put Proteus. So that's Proteus in. Let's see what Buddy does. I kind of like that, but again, you don't want to double up on your tank color if you can avoid it, because chances are the other team's going to be color stacking versus that tank, so that gives them an advantage against 2 of your heroes instead of just 1. If they want to color stack more than 1 hero, then they should have to earn it, which is going to leave them weak to at least 2 colors if they go like 2-2-1. So let's see what Wilbur does. So we're going to put Proteus over here and split up our reds and go with Wilbur. Probably pretty close. So we're going to apply that. So that's, what is that? That's 4 teams put together, so 2 sets of wings left. So I've got Masashi Obakan. I didn't do something right here. What am I missing? Masashi Obakan, Liana 2, and Buddy. So we're going to split the greens. I'm not sure which way. Yeah, okay. So we're going to go Liana and Masashi. And this, I feel like this team's, it should be pretty close. Obakan and Buddy. So Buddy and Obakan. Now that puts me at a disadvantage because I'm stacking now tank and wing, same color. So let's take a peek here and see what we can, see if we can make a swap. 3960. Let's try this. I'll take Alice out. We'll take Obakan out. Alice, Buddy. Leaves me a little weak. Don't know if I want to do that either. Alright, let's apply it. So we have Obakan left. One wing left. Well, I don't want 3 purples on a team. And here's where the issue runs into, right? Because I've only got what heroes I've got. So at some point, I'm going to be stacked up. 39, 32. Let's throw Obakan in here. And who did I take off? Wilbur. Hold on, let's apply it. Gets confusing. Yep, Wilbur's out. So edit team. Let's put Wilbur in over here. Let's see what that does. Okay, so I have taken my top 30 heroes. And let's sort it by color so we can get kind of a picture of what's going on here. Top 30 heroes, I've got them sorted into 6 teams. You know, because I'm heavy on dark heroes, I've got 8 of them, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's just, it is what it is. Now, let's go and kind of just do a gut check on individual team power. So we already did that one. It was 3672. Next team equals 684 plus 77 plus 75, 656 and 755. 3637. This is without troops. You kind of have to do it that way. Troops are a whole different level of complexity. 740 plus 755 plus 783 plus 783 plus 659, 3720. And 665, 753, 773, 782, 756, 3729. That 10 key touch though. So okay, 3707. And then the final team, which is a little underwhelming. 684. Oops. 664 plus 769. 783, 730. 3613. So I've got my teams pretty evenly spread out. The range, the lowest team power I've got is 3613, and the most is 3720. So I've got about 107 point spread, and that's a starting point. So I would encourage you guys, you know, if you're putting your war teams together, break them out evenly. And everybody's teams are different, so it is what it is, but break them out evenly as a starting point. Once you get your teams into this situation right here, then you can think about maybe switching heroes out for other heroes depending on who you're going up against. It all depends on who your targets are. And we work with what we've got. So I think this video's gone on long enough. This is just the basics. This is me just putting together 6 teams based on some very generic and general rules. And maybe we'll do some advanced war strategy and kind of when you want to color stack and switch it up when you get to that point with your roster. That's the main thing. You know, when you're growing your 30 heroes, it takes a long time. And until you get 30 and even beyond 30, it's really hard. It's going to be hard for you as an individual to color stack very much because you just don't have the options. You know, you got to keep your teams as balanced as you can so that you're consistent, in my opinion. And as you grow from there, you know, once you end up with 50 heroes that are viable for war, well, now you have a lot of options. You can start swapping in and out. You can do 2-2-1 color stack, which is, you know, 2 of one color, 2 of a second color, and, you know, 1 of a third color. So, for instance, if I was going up against this team right here, I would take 2 purples to counter the tank, 2 yellows to counter the flanks, and either a blue for Wilbur or a red for Lyanna as the 5th hero. And I would count on those gems showing up on the board to do the damage. There's always a risk, but that's how you do it. So, all right, guys, we'll get into some deeper stuff later. See ya.